evening, Dr. Gulati. Hearty welcome to this webinar by Headlines Tripura. So all over Tripura, around 50 lakhs people will watch this webinar, and outside Tripura also, so many people will watch this webinar. So today we will discuss about the ins and outs of this COVID-19. So by now everybody knows what is it and how it is impacting. So straight away, I would just like to ask you this question. Today only I got the information that India has now become the 6th position holder in terms of infectivity. So we have just finished our lockdown of 70 days, and then we are maintaining this social distancing, maybe up to not that much. Then we are using facial mask, we are doing the sanitization and all. So what do you think? What should be we target now to bring down this infectivity rate? Because otherwise we will be in number 1 position.
So the whole COVID-19 fiasco, it started from China, then it traveled through the Western world, and then it came to India. If you look at all the epidemiological graphs, India was always 4 to 6 weeks behind UK.
Yeah.
And we were 4 to 6 weeks behind Italy. Now in the UK at the moment, we have crossed the peak, the number of cases are going down, and we are releasing the lockdown as well. Now, at some point of time, you have to release the lockdown. We cannot continue like this. But the problem in India at the moment is that the cases are also rising.
Yeah.
And the lockdown also easing are both at the same time.
Exactly.
Now, the principle of social distancing has to be followed, and it has to be monitored very vigilantly. Wearing face mask, standing at a distance of 2 meters, this has to be done. Not sure how effective we'll be able to manage it, but this is the principle of stopping COVID-19. Because there is no vaccine, there is no drug at the moment. The only thing which can save from corona is hand hygiene, face masks, social distancing. It will be interesting, really interesting to see how India manages this whole thing in the next 4 weeks. Because right now, the trend and the graph is going up.
Yeah.
And it's not plateau.
Exactly.
So that is very important at the moment to see how we're going to manage this.
Exactly. So actually now, yesterday also 9,000 people got infected. So people are now they're scared actually whether we have entered into the third phase, like this community transmission. So how to know, because we are not trying any antibody test over here. So how to know this community is exposed or not? Is there any other way? Because we are doing only RT-PCR.
Absolutely. And so the antigen test which has been done at the moment is 70% specific for COVID.
It is not antibody. I'm talking about the antibody.
Yes. So the antigen which is done right now, it is just specific for 70%.
Okay.
An antibody test will tell you that whether somebody was infected or did get coronavirus at some point of time. But that is still in the development phase at the moment. We do not have an antibody test in the UK as well.
Okay.
The best thing which the government is doing, but is you have to live with COVID. You have to realize that every person is COVID until and unless proven otherwise. That is the mainstay of keeping things that, yes, this person can have COVID, I should follow the precautions. Because even if somebody is COVID negative or COVID positive on an antigen, it doesn't rule out that they don't have COVID now. They can still have COVID now. Till the time the vaccine is not out, it is not eradicated in the community. The WHO doesn't say, yes, now COVID is over. you have to think that every second person is COVID. We are in the community phase probably for the last 2 to 3 weeks in India. Because if you see how the definition of COVID changed was very interesting. First, they said somebody who has traveled from China or XYZ countries. Then they said somebody who has come in contact with somebody who has COVID. Then they said any fever, shortness of breath, anybody with viral pneumonia symptoms is query COVID. So the definition is changing. So that is a good thing that we are following the guidelines, but we need to educate people more. People need to know more about it.
Exactly. So means catching the index case should be our target. Index
Absolutely. Case. I think WHO from day one said test, test, test.
Yeah.
So we have to do a massive amount of testing to catch the cases, because we all know the spectrum of the disease, which is mild, moderate, and severe. 80% it is very mild. It's the last 5%, 7% which is severe. And it is severe in high-risk people who are age more than 60, have diabetes, have cancer, are on chemotherapy, or on immunosuppression. We have to protect those people from the 80% who gets infected. So if we catch those 80%, then we'll be able to protect and the mortality rate will go down.
So in a state like us, Tripura is a very small state. So the infrastructure is also not so much developed. So nowadays, more than 100 patients every day. So how to triage these patients? Because most, as you said, most of them means 90% are asymptomatic. Those who are coming from red zone or somewhere else. So we are doing the test and they're becoming positive. So how to triage for symptomatic, for asymptomatic, and for symptomatic with shortness of breath?
So because it's a small state, it's the same in the UK. You have small cities, you have big cities. How a disease affects a city is how much pressure it creates on the hospitals. So for example, if you have 3 COVID hospitals or 5 COVID hospitals, you do not want all COVID hospitals to get full.
Exactly.
And you do not want that there is a lot of pressure created on those hospitals, because you have to protect your staff as well. You have to protect people working there as well. The important thing is anybody who has any flu-like symptoms, fever, cough, cold, sore throat, is query COVID until and unless proven otherwise. The national guidelines are simple. You should not admit somebody to the hospital just because they have COVID. You should only admit them if they are unable to cope at home. For example, they're breathless, they require oxygen, they have a lot of fever which is not getting relieved on oral antibiotics and needs IV antibiotics. So the triaging system has to be like it happens in a field hospital, in a military hospital. You only treat and admit those who requires admission. You do not admit somebody who is just COVID positive, but is able to eat, drink, do his daily routine activities. They should not require admissions.
So what do you think? There should be home quarantine or institutional quarantine?
Absolutely. I think they should be home quarantine.
Home quarantine.
The advantages of home quarantine is, one, people are staying at their own homes. So they will be a bit more comfortable. You don't want to put them in a quarantine center because they won't follow the law. They will try to run away. Exactly. 3, this will stop creating unnecessary pressures on your hospitals. Because if a patient is in your hospital, he is using your resources, which can be used to treat somebody who is unwell. So utilization of resources in treating the unwell should be the first priority. Second, utilization of resources in diagnosing the well should be the second priority. Because if you balance them, then you can challenge the disease. If you are just diagnosing and you are not utilizing to treat the unwell, your mortality rate will go up.
Exactly.
So there has to be a balance between these two things.
So means positive cases, asymptomatic, home quarantine. So should you prescribe anything, any drug, or simply symptomatic treatment? What will you do?
Okay, so the treatment of positive asymptomatic and positive symptomatic is more or less the same.
Okay.
There is no drug, but so if you look at the recent Lancet journal, they have said hydroxychloroquine has no role.
Exactly.
There's a trial of vaccine going on at Oxford at the moment, but it's going to take at least 9 to 12 months to roll out. And once the vaccine rolls out, another 1 year happens to get the results. And then we say whether the vaccine is active or not. Anybody who is positive, asymptomatic, means has no fever, has no shortness of breath, does not require oxygen, can stay at home, regular paracetamol, keep themselves well hydrated, eat and drink, and that is fine. Anybody who is positive, symptomatic, means they are short of breath, have a lot of fever, they require IV antibiotics, chest X-ray, plus minus CT scan to look at the pattern of the disease, and oxygen. So the mainstay treatment is oxygen, hydration, and antibiotics.
So these people are telling this high flow oxygen is much more required than because they have got the ventilator treated treatment means patient. They have seen that the result is not promising. Those who have under ventilation, so mortality rate has gone up.
So if you think of any viral disease, any viral, even if when it was SARS, MERS in the past, anybody with a viral pneumonia who is intubated does not have a good outcome. We already have seen this pattern in various viral syndromes in the past as well. And early intubation and early ventilation is recommended, but it comes with futile outcomes as well. So if you intubate somebody who is 70-year-old and has COPD in the past, his outcome will be poor. But if you probably intubate a 30-year-old early, you might be able to save him. So that's why when you ask someone to home quarantine, you have to be very specific in when they should come back to the hospital. The communication and the education amongst people, amongst the population is very important.
So in Britain, you are not using hydroxychloroquine nowadays?
So there were a couple of trials going on. There were randomized trials, but we follow the NICE guidelines in the UK and the Public Health England guidelines, and there is no role of hydroxychloroquine identified.
In India, we are still using in some institutions. So for symptomatic patients, they are giving first day loading dose, then next day, next 4 days they are giving. So it is also definitely not sure about the outcome. So another thing that ICMR has told that those who are asymptomatic, so virus stops replicating after 10 days. So what do you think? So if they become non-infectious, so those who are in institutional quarantine, asymptomatic patients, because in our state there are so many asymptomatic but institutionally quarantined. So can we just discharge them after 10 days?
So every institution in their countries have different days. But when I compare the Indian, UK, Italy, US guidelines, it's more or less around 12 to 14 days.
12 to
So fine, we say between up to 2 weeks if we keep it broadly.
Mm.
So if somebody is asymptomatic on day 10 or 12 as per your local guidelines, and they do not have any fever, shortness of breath, cough, cold, viral symptoms, then they should not be quarantined at all, and they should be thought about as non-COVID patients. Because what you have to think is the number of tests which you do on asymptomatic people, although it will help you to catch the index cases, but there is a lot of resources utilized as well.
Exactly.
So the balance has to be very important. So if you think they're asymptomatic on day 10 as per your ICMR guidelines, then I don't think there is anything else you need to do.
So in this regard, Doctor, I was just about to ask you one thing. So nowadays, what happened? So many trains are coming from outside. So people are coming. Now we are doing 5:1 test. For 5 people, we are doing a single test. So whether we can do the pool test, like swab from 5 patients are taken, not patients, if people are taken into one test tube. We did the RT-PCR, and if it comes positive, then all the for all the 5 person, we can do the separate test. And if it is negative, then 5 are negative. Can we do this?
So the way this sounds, it is not very 100% specific.
Okay.
Some patients can still pass through the cracks. So for example, if 4 were negative and 1 was positive, what is the specificity of the tube which is holding? So there is a lot of bias in it.
Okay.
So in an ideal world, in an ideal situation, you should do 1 tube, 1 test, 1 patient.
Okay.
So that is specific for that patient.
Okay. Yeah, this is 100%.
Then you get an answer whether person X has COVID or not. Here what you're doing, A, B, C, D, E, all the 5 people are going in 1 tube. So you don't know which was positive. Somebody might be symptomatic, somebody might be asymptomatic. So that is also which you have to look into.
So regarding treatment, so there are so many antiviral drugs are trying. People are trying. So in our India also, the CGI has given approval for this remdesivir, but for severe cases. So in UK also, you are using this remdesivir?
So we're not using any immunosuppression.
Okay.
We are not using any hydroxychloroquine. We have started the plasma therapy trial.
Plasma therapy. Okay.
For severe patients. But all those things are a part of a trial. So they are not a treatment. So for example, if they're happening in an X hospital in UK, it's a trial in that hospital and it is not happening across the UK.
Okay.
So it is just, we're trying different things in phases of trials, but not as approved treatment.
Okay. What is your experience? So plasma therapy in our country also people have just started.
Sorry, I missed your question.
In our country also, people have just started plasma therapy. So what is your experience basically?
So plasma therapy has given some good results.
Okay.
In few cases, but the good results have been given in those patients who were very fit. So whether they got well on their own or whether they got well because of plasma therapy, it is a debatable question. Because any treatment has to be done on a massive number rather than a small number to say this treatment is valid.
Yeah, to conclude, definitely. So for plasma therapy, you are choosing patients in terms of means high antibody titer. You are doing that one or what?
Yes. So somebody who had COVID in the past contributes the blood, the plasma, and that has been used for selective patients who are aged less than 65, who do not have a lot of comorbidities, who can run 3 to 4 kilometers in a day or can walk 3 to 4 kilometers in a day, has a good lung capacity, not a smoker. So we are choosing fit individuals to be treated by plasma therapy and then seeing the results.
And regarding vaccine, you have already told, but in our country, some companies like Serum Institute and other two, three big company, they are telling that now they have already started the phase 3 trial. So they are very much confident to come out with in the month of November or December. So I don't know how it is possible, but they are claiming definitely.
So there are a lot of claims going on in a lot of countries, especially a lot of messages goes around WhatsApp, Facebook, which we don't know what the authenticity of the messages are.
Exactly.
But the trial started in April. If we look from April, we are expecting something will happen in November because it takes 6 months for the whole trial. Recently, the animal transmission trial and the testing on the animal models at Oxford was over, and they started testing it on humans. But now what has happened, a bigger challenge is once your cases starts going down, you don't have enough people to try on.
Exactly.
So that has to be maintained. So we still have a lot of COVID cases. Trials are going on. There is a possibility before 2020 ends, we might be able to get something out of it. Whether it will be the treatment, whether it will be the vaccine, that only time will tell. But we are expecting that we might get something before December 2020.
December. So in UK, so I think now the curve is in going down phase. So do you expect any second peak in the November, December?
So the UK started their lockdown on 23rd of March. Then we remained in lockdown for a while, and then the UK started releasing their lockdown a couple of weeks ago. So last week, schools opened.
Okay.
On 15th of June, the retail shops are getting opened, like clothing, tailors, showrooms. They're opening from 15th of June. We are expecting a second surge. Because once the lockdown opens, as much as you can try, doesn't matter which country it is, to follow social distancing all the time becomes impossible.
Yeah.
So we are expecting second surge, and we are kind of prepared, but depends upon how big the surge is going to be.
Exactly.
Till the time it doesn't create massive pressures on your healthcare, you can deal with them. But if it starts creating pressures, then it becomes a big problem. Because what we have to think is, everywhere we are just thinking about corona. But think about the normal patients. Somebody will have a broken hip. Somebody will have chest pain and will have a heart attack. Somebody will have a stroke.
Definitely.
We have to treat them as well. Because of the corona patients, a lot of non-COVID patients were suffering. So we have to come up with a system that we are able to provide treatment for both of them in a systematic way.
So in our country also, people who are under regular dialysis, they are really facing problems. There's so many institutions got closed due to the infection.
I think so. This was a very famous thing in Italy. In India, in everywhere, we always talk about, okay, he's a nephrologist, he's a cardiologist, he's a medicine guy, he's emergency medicine, he's anesthetist. Probably at the time of pandemic, we are not specialists and we all are doctors. And we have to help our people the way we can. So a nephrologist has to come up with the plan saying, how will I run dialysis? now.
Mhm.
Because whatever he's going to do now, he's not going to do it for a couple of weeks. He's going to do it for the next 1 year at least.
Exactly.
Corona is with us for at least next 1 year. So there is no saving. We have to come up with a plan.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Dr. Gulati. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and knowledge with us. And hope next time also we'll join you.
Absolutely. No problem. Thank you. All the best.
Thank
Thank you.
you.